Hi, welcome. I'm Susan, and today we are going to do a couple of pies. I've got a church bazaar tomorrow, and I told him I'd put up a couple of pies for sale. So the first one we're going to do is since it's spring. Of course, you couldn't tell it here in northern Minnesota because we had snow this morning on the ground. But assuming it's spring, we're going to do first strawberry rhubarb pie. Now, to begin with, we're going to have rhubarb requires a lot of sugar because it is very, very tart. So in a big bowl, we're going to put 1.5 cups of sugar. Get this ready and get it mixed up, and then we'll go on to what I call a never-fail pie crust. Okay, so we've got 1.5 cups of sugar, and I want about 1/2 cup of flour. Now this is going to be the thickener. We're going to do about 1/4 teaspoon of salt here, and about 1/4 teaspoon of fresh nutmeg. Now, please use fresh nutmeg when you can. It's so easy and it tastes so good. We're going to grate about 1/4 teaspoon in there. Looks pretty good. Okay. Put that back in there. I'm going to kind of stir this together here. That clump of sugar out. I don't know what your favorite pies are. Actually, my favorite pie is cherry pie. But people really like the strawberry rhubarb pie and the peach pie. Now I've got 3 cups of, this is fresh rhubarb I managed to get at the store the other day. So we've chopped up 3 cups of fresh rhubarb. And I've got 1 cup of strawberries. I'm going to add those in there. We're going to stir this together and get it all coated with the flour and the sugar. A lot of people really love strawberry rhubarb pie. I like it. And at church bazaars, it's a good seller. So we've got this stirred up. I'm going to set this aside now because we're going to make what I call a never-fail pie crust. Now this is a pie crust that actually does not have to be refrigerated. It is as flaky as you're ever going to make pie crust. This is my dad's recipe. Heaven forbid you make something else with my dad. But to begin with, we're going to do 3 cups of flour. So let's get 3 cups of flour in our bowl. And this will make about 2 pie crusts for about a 9-inch, 10-inch pie. There's 2 cups of flour. And here's 3. And when I say never fail, I've never had this crust fail. It always comes out flaky and oh so good. Now we've got 3 cups of flour. To that I'm going to add about 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And we're going to add, surprisingly, instead of butter, we're going to use vegetable oil. Now to 3 cups of flour, I'm going to add 1 cup. Here we go. There's 8 ounces of vegetable oil. And I'm going to add probably, I need a little more liquid to this, so I'm going to add, let's start out with 1/4 cup of water. We'll do that. Let me get 1/4 cup of water here. We may add more as we go along. We'll see how it looks. So I'm going to take a fork I'm not doing this in a food processor, I'm doing it by hand. And we're going to stir this together. But we're going to stir it just until it comes together. And I'll show you what I mean here in a minute. You'll want streaks of flour in this. Now we may have to add a little more water to that. It depends on how dry your flour is. I know that, golly sakes, when we lived in Montana and South Dakota, it was so dry there that we just had to add all sorts of stuff. Okay, no, I think that's good. So as you can see, it's just mixed. Okay, now, you know what I think I'm going to do? I need to make room on my board here. Maybe we can get some of this stuff out of the way, because I'm going to need my saran wrap. So let's try and get some of this stuff out of the way. If you, just a second here. Let me put it back here so that you can see what else I'm doing. You're going to be surprised when you try this pie crust how easy it is and how flaky it actually is. There we go. We've got some room now we can maneuver. You know, I love the center island, but sometimes I think I need it, well, maybe twice or 3 times the size. And I'm sure you do too. Your kitchen's never big enough sometimes for you. Now, we're going to take, this is how we're going to roll it out. We're not going to use any more flour. We are going to take a damp rag. Let me grab it. And we're going to dampen the countertop, just like so. Now we're going to add some saran wrap. I'm going to put it down here. And it's going to stick to your counter, which is what it's supposed to do. Okay. Now, got it down. I'm going to take, you can see what I've got here. I'm going to take about half the dough mixture. Let's do a little more than that. And we're going to make a crust. I like to start out with a little round here. And we'll do a top piece of saran wrap. Now, as you can see, this is not going to require any extra flour, so it is not going to be heavy. It's a very light crust. Let's get this laid out here. Now I'm going to take my rolling pin and I'm going to start rolling it. We're going to roll it into, hopefully, some sort of circle to go into the pan. Now I'm hoping, I'd like you to be able to see the white streaks in this dough. Can we get a good picture of that? Will, do you think? Because that's what you want. You don't want all the flour mixed in. This is what's going to make it flaky, is that white streak, which is flour in the dough. Okay, so let's get this rolled out. You know, I think a lot of people are intimidated by pies. I don't know why. It's the easiest thing to make. Golly, it's quicker and easier than making cake. Let me grab my pie pan here. Now I am using these foil pie pans today because, like I said, this is going to be for a church bazaar tomorrow. so I'm not going to put them in glass baking dishes. So what I've got here, I'm going to lift this out, and I'm going to take the bottom piece here, kind of scoot it down so I can get it in the pot here. I'm going to take this and just lay it in. All right. Just lay it in like you would any pie. And kind of smooth it down here around the bottom. Now we're going to lift this off. We're going to set it aside. And I'm going to get something to trim this with, because I don't want all this crust hanging over. So let's take a knife. Oh, we've got a pair of scissors too. Let's just do the scissors. And what I'm going to do is just trim off this excess. You see that? There we go. Just going to trim the excess here. Alright. I'm going to throw this back in the pot. Now I'm going to take my filling. Remember the filling we did here. And we're going to put it in the pot. Sugar, boy, rhubarb takes a lot of sugar. Let's keep her in the pan here. Let me know what your favorite pie is. And do you make pies? I mean, they're so easy to make. They're quick. Okay. Look at that. I'm just going to use my fingers here. Clean hands are a cook's best tool. Okay, now before we put the top crust on, I want to do some butter. You know, everything's better with butter. Did you ever notice that? Let's just do a little bit of butter on top. This will give it a little richer taste. Just do some slices here. Just a little, probably a tablespoon, maybe a little more butter. Okay. Now I'm going to set this aside. We're going to do the top crust. Set this back here. Now, we're going to wipe down our counter again so that the saran wrap will stick. Okay. We can just reuse this piece of saran wrap. Gather this crust in here with your hands, and we're going to make the top crust now. We're going to just roll it out like we did the bottom crust. Okay. Let's get it rolled out here. Now you want to be careful not to get the crust too thick. Nobody wants to get a big old bite of nothing but crust. Now I try to get it round. But since I have Parkinson's, sometimes my hands don't do exactly what I tell them to do. That's okay. We'll get it handled. So we've got this, and I think we'll check and make sure. Oh yeah, that's going to fit beautifully. Now let's cut. Let's do a little water around the crust so we can seal it. Doesn't cook out the edges. So what we're going to do, take a little water, and we're just going to go around the bottom crust here, and this is going to act like glue. Okay. And there you have it. Here again, I'll move her on down here. And we're going to put the top crust on. We're going to try to center it here. Okay. Good. All right. Okay, now we're going to take our scissors again, and we're going to trim some of the crust. We're not going to trim it clear to the top. Just leave about, I don't know, 1/4 to a 1/2 inch. Let's just trim her hair. It's like giving a pie a haircut. Easy, easy, easy. My dad taught me how to make a pie. When I first started making pies, oh my gosh, nobody wanted to eat them. I had a tendency to roll out the dough, and it would be thick in one spot and thin in another, and it wouldn't cook evenly. But my dad gave me this recipe, and he said play with it, practice, and sure enough, it's become my favorite. Now we're going to tuck the dough under. Okay. Just go around the edges. You know, practice this a couple of times. You may not get it the first time. Don't feel bad. But it's easy, it's quick, and that's one thing about a pie. If my family wants a pie, they don't want to have to wait for the dough to relax in the refrigerator for an hour or so. They want it now, and I think you'll find this is as flaky a pie crust as you'll ever get. Okay. Alright, now that we got it folded under, we're just going to crimp the edges. I just take my finger, 2 fingers and thumb, and just go around the edge. And this makes the little fluted edge. You can use a fork if you want, and just use the tines that go along. I've seen some little things, plastic things that you can use around the edges to make different types of fluting. But I find this is just as quick and convenient, and it looks nice when it bakes. So here we go. We're gonna almost done here. And I'll show you what I'm going to do. Okay, so we've got that fluted around the edges. Now, we're going to have to do something about venting. You sure don't want to do this without venting. Now, I could have taken a cookie cutter and cut out something there before I put it on the pie pan, but I didn't. So what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to do a little star. And this will allow the steam to vent Now, one thing I do that people love because it really alters the taste of the crust is I tend to put sugar on. I don't do an egg wash. I skip the egg wash. It's not necessary, but I do put sugar on it. You just sprinkle the top with sugar. And it makes it taste so good. All right. Now this is ready to go into a 425 degree oven. I'm going to set this aside. Now that we've got that ready, what we're going to do, I'm going to clean this mess up. We're going to make a peach pie. Okay, I'll be right back with the peach pie. Okay, I have, to save time, you know I don't waste your time. I try to keep my videos short so as not to take up a lot of your time, but to give you some valuable information. So I've repeated the pie crust recipe. 3 cups of flour, 1 cup of vegetable oil, 1/4 teaspoon of salt, and about 1/4 cup of water. Now we're going to make this into a peach pie. When the peaches are ripe, I usually buy them by the case, and I clean them and freeze them so that I have peaches all year round. In fact, I slice them, put them in baggies, and do about 4 cups of sliced peaches per bag, and that'll make about 1 peach pie. So I've got the crust here. Now I've got the peaches cooked. You have to cook these a little. So what I've got is 4 cups of sliced peaches, you can see here, with some juice. You don't want a whole lot of juice, about I don't know, probably 1/4 cup of juice. And I added a cup of sugar and about 4 tablespoons of cream or cornstarch. I'm trying to think what that was. I want to taste these and make sure that I have not tasted them, make sure they're okay. You know, those are good, but I think I'm going to add just a tad more sugar. Let me grab about 1/2 cup more sugar. Some peaches are more tart than others, so you want to try to taste them and see if you need to add more sugar. Let's just try that. So what I've got, about 4 cups of sliced peaches. I probably put a cup of sugar in this, all told. About 4 tablespoons of cornstarch and about 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger. I like the taste of ginger with my peaches. So we're going to put peaches in the pie crust here. Kind of spread them out. Yeah, that's going to fit in the pan beautifully. Okay, now set this back here out of the way. Now I'm going to roll the top crust, and we'll get this ready to go in the oven with the strawberry rhubarb pie. We can bake them both at the same time, at the same temperature. So let's get our counter ready here and put our saran wrap back down. Spread it out. And we're going to make the top crust. Take a ball of dough. Now I think maybe you can see that in some of this the flour is not fully incorporated. That's what we want because that's what makes the whole thing flaky. You want a flaky pie crust. I used to make a pie crust that you could throw against the wall and it would break into 1,000 pieces. We don't want that anymore. So we're going to roll this out. Now I'm going to post this on my blog, susanspantry.com, and I'm going to give you the recipe for several different fillings. I'm going to give you the recipe for strawberry rhubarb, for the peach filling, for a cherry filling. What else can I do? Strawberry rhubarb, cherry, peach, apple. Apple's always good. Okay, so I'll give you those recipes for the different fillings on the website. Okay, now what I normally do, and I didn't do with the strawberry rhubarb pie, I normally take a cookie cutter, and this is just for venting. This happens to be a little teapot, and I'm going to make it right there in the center. And then I'm going to bring this over, and we're going to bring our peach pie over, and we're going to have to seal it just like we did the strawberry rhubarb. Just around the edges, little water, little glue here. Now I'm going to put these pies in the oven at 425 for about 15 minutes. This is going to set the crust. And please put them, I put them on the parchment lined baking sheet. You don't want this all over your oven if it happens to run over. So we're going to carefully lift this up and try to center that peach, or that teapot right there. Now, pull this off. See these white streaks? That's what you want. That's going to give you the flaky crust. So we're going to trim this up, just like we did with the strawberry rhubarb. There we go. Get rid of this excess. As you can see, it doesn't take long to make a crust or pie. Now we're going to fold it under, just like we did before. Get some of that. There we go. We're going to roll her under. Okay. Now we're going to crimp the edges, just like we did before. We can just go around like so. Quick and easy, which is what I like in a recipe. Quick, easy, and tasty. You know, that way you don't have to spend hours upon hours in the kitchen and still have a flavorful meal or dessert. Okay. All right. So we've crimped the edges here. Take some of this. Now here again, I'm not going to do an egg wash. I'm just going to do sugar coating. Okay. And I'm going to grab my pan here. Here I have our strawberry rhubarb pie. right here. I'm going to put the peach pie on here too. I think. Get this over a little. Yeah, there we go. Okay. All right, and I'm going to put this in the oven at 425. Then I'm going to turn it down to 350 and bake it for probably about 35 to 40 minutes. And I'll show you what it looks like when we get it out of the oven. Okay, we're back. We've baked the pies. I baked them at 425 for 15 minutes. Turned the oven down to 350 and baked them for another 45 minutes. As you can see, the reason I put them on a cookie sheet is they did run over some. You don't want that on the bottom of your oven. So here we have the peach pie and the strawberry rhubarb. Please try the crust. I think you'll enjoy it. It's simple, quick, and easy. Until next time, blessings to you and your family.